Hey there, this is Amara Peterson from Hot Chef's Food Solutions. Today I'm going to be showing you an amazing creamy sweet corn soup. It's a simple recipe and it's perfect for Ramadan. Now we're not supposed to be having all these creamy things when we break our fast, but I think sometimes we can cheat just a little bit, right? So it's a super simple recipe. You only need like 6 ingredients. What you're going to need is 1 onion, 1 can of sweet corn, 1 red chili or green if you like. We're going to have about 50 grams of vegetable stock, some butter for the cooking so it's nice and creamy like I like it, and we have a half a can of Nestle dessert cream. So first things first, before I chop up my onion, I want to heat up my pot. Very important to always put your ingredients in a really hot pot. This helps your ingredients not lose any of its nutrients and also just get a beautiful color as well. So while I'm warming up my pot, I'm going to slice up my onion. So this recipe is around 4 or 5 servings, right? So if you want to make it for a larger sort of family, you can definitely do that by just doubling up all the ingredients. So just finely slice your onions. You could chop it up, but I'm going to put it in a blender, so it doesn't really make much difference of how you chop up your onion. Right? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to add my butter. You could use oil, but I just like the creaminess and the nuttiness the butter adds. So like a nice lug of butter. It's around about a nice thick tablespoon. What I want to do is just make sure that my butter sort of caramelizes. Now, I don't know if you noticed that sometimes when you put butter into the pan and it's really hot, then it goes all brown and burnt. We don't want to get it brown and burnt, but we want to get it brown to a nice nutty consistency. So very high heat, and make sure that you stir your pan so your butter doesn't burn. So now that my butter is nice and melted, I just want to get it to a nice brown color. And what you'll see at the top is you see this foamy sort of pieces, and what that is, it's actually the milk. So we want to try and clarify our butter, almost like a kind of a ghee that we're going to be making. And now that my butter is nice and light brown, I'm ready to add my onions. We want to hear that nice sizzle when we add our onions into our pan. Give it a nice stir. So there's not lots of flavor that's going into the soup. It's a simple soup because we're going to be adding some vegetable stock. So the vegetable stock already has all that beautiful different types of flavor and salt. So we're going to just be flavoring it with onion and chili. Furthermore, the stock is going to do everything else for us. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that our onions are nice and sort of caramelizing. We want it to get a nice brown color, because if you have your onions just like sweated out, it's going to make your soup not as colorful and as robust. So we want to make sure that it's nice and caramelized, sort of light brown color. So while that's doing that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the root of my chili off and I'm going to slice it in half. Now, I like my soups nice and spicy. It must have that little bit of bite to it. But if you don't want to have a bite to it, what you want to do is take the seeds out or use green chilies instead. So just give that a nice stir. Our onions are round about ready to add the rest of our ingredients in there. All that brown sort of flavor sticking to the pan. Now, you could do this with absolutely any vegetable or even some leftover foods in there that you have, because this recipe is so simple. You can add whatever you want to it and it's going to be beautiful and it's going to be tasty and it's going to be like nothing anybody has ever tasted. So our can of sweet corn goes in there. Nice and creamy sweet corn. And we just kind of want to have that cook together for about 1 minute while we mix up our stock. So the stock that I'm using is just plain vegetable stock, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to add some milk to just make sure that all the lumpy bits of the stock goes away before adding it into the pan. So we just want to mix it through nicely. You could add water to the soup if you wanted to, but I like the creaminess that the milk adds. So there you go, all your lumps are almost away. The stock that I'm using has a really nice sort of coarse consistency because you can actually see all the beautiful herbs and dried herbs inside of the stock. So it adds beautiful flavor to the soup. And you, like I said, you can use absolutely anything. If you want to replace the corn with some mushrooms, you can definitely do that to make your own mushroom soup. So our sweet corn is now starting to stick to our pan, and this is where we're going to add our stock. So nice and creamy. It smells absolutely delicious. You want to make sure that you make this very close to iftar, otherwise you are going to be so hungry. So now what's going to happen is, because it's a stock, it's going to start to thicken, and I'm just going to slowly stir in my milk. You don't want to add the milk in at one time because it might just go lumpy. So you just slowly stir in your milk, and you kind of want to use a wooden spoon to do this because it works a bit better. Now all you want to do with this is you're going to simmer it for about 5, maybe 7 minutes, just till it's nice and thick, and then we are going to blend it up into a smooth, creamy soup. So our soup is nice and thick, and it's cooked for about 7 minutes. So the last but the most important ingredient, because it adds beautiful flavor, we're going to add our dessert cream. I'm keeping a little bit aside just so that I can make it look pretty when I serve it. Mix that through nicely, and what we are going to do now is just chuck it in a blender. So technically you're not actually supposed to put hot things in a blender. It's like health and safety has it, but I'm going to show you a way around that, okay? But if you can, cool it off first and then blitz it up. So basically what happens is, when you throw hot liquid into a blender, it sort of turns into a tornado and it shoots up. So what I'm going to have to do is, I'm going to have to hold it down to make sure that the velocity doesn't shoot up. So it's kind of a gym workout. So I'll just use my cloth, make sure that my lid is nice and sealed. Keep nice pressure down onto the machine. So you can check to see the consistency. Some people like it smooth, some people like it a bit more crunchy. So you can decide on how you want to have it. But that's kind of the way I like it. Now, I'm going to show you how to plate this up in a beautiful way so you can impress those guests that you're going to have over. Because trust me, this is going to be like nothing they've ever experienced. So what I'm going to do, pour my soup into my bowl. There we go. I'm going to use that little bit of cream that I saved, and I'm just going to add it to the top. And I'm going to take a toothpick and just make some little lines on it, and add a piece of parsley with some black pepper. Now remember, I said there's lots of stock in here, so we don't need to add salt. So the pepper is the only seasoning. And there we go, the perfect dish for your iftar meal. Light, beautiful, and creamy.